Good morning, everyone. This is Theodore from the Caribbean Facebook page. This is yet another beautiful morning here in Paradise, Papua New Guinea. This is the 10th session of a 90 days personal improvement plan. Let me say a word of appreciation to the Aerotic Security Service based here in Ley and the Yalingu Valuers for sponsoring this program. Okay, James William once said, "The heart of being wise is the heart of knowing what to overlook." The art of being wise is the heart of knowing what to overlook. So now that we've come to this, the 10th session, most of us should be able to know what to prioritize in order to achieve our goals. So this is the 10th session. So we should be in a better position to understand what to prioritize. And then we break it down to daily tasks, and then we manage them on a daily basis. But whilst doing that now, we must ask these three very important questions. The first question is, what is required of me? What is required of me? So, like you see, any realistic assessment of priorities in any areas of life must start with an evaluation, always with an evaluation of what a person must do. In any realistic assessment of priorities, in any areas of our life, we must start with an evaluation of what we as a human being, as a person, must do. You know, for us to be a good person, for us to be a good employee, for us to be a good spouse, for us to be a good parent, what is required of us? What is required of us? That is the question we must ask. What is required of us? Or even to be a good citizen of a country, what is required of us? That is the question we should be asking. Because when deciding what to focus on, always starts with, giving a careful thought to the requirement question we just asked. What is required of me? If you can remember, J.F. Kennedy once said, we don't ask, or I must not ask what the country must do for me. Rather, I must ask what I must do for the country. What is required of me to be a good citizen, to be a good, contributing citizen of this development of this nation? What is required of me? That is the very first important question that we must ask. And then the next important question we must ask is, what gives me the greatest return? What gives me the greatest return? As we progress in our careers, we discover that some activities, they yield a much higher return for the effort we put in than the others. So, we must focus our attention on those ones that, give us high turnover, high returns. Like yesterday we discussed about the Pareto principle. You must give your focus on the 20% of your priorities, which will give you 80% of the return on your effort. So now, this links to this one. What gives me the greatest return? That is the next very important question. When we figure out what gives you the greatest return, now we focus our attention on these ones that give us high returns. Sometimes, as we go on, we get carried away, and then we focus on less important things. We focus on activities that does not give us high return, which is a waste of time anyways. So this next question, the second question, is very important. What gives me the greatest return? When you find out, you concentrate on that Pareto principle. Remember the Pareto principle? Focus your attention on the 20% of your priorities, which will give you 80% return on your effort. The third and the last question is, what gives me the greatest reward? What gives me the greatest reward? So remember this. If you only do what we must and what is effective, we will be highly productive, but we may not be content. You can see the productivity, but you may not be content. The feeling of satisfaction, you may not achieve it. No, you must first, or we must first possess the discipline to take care of the first two areas, which is what is required of me and what gives me the greatest return? We must first have the whole of this discipline to, focus on these two areas first. Take care of these two areas first, because it's also important. It's also important to consider that what gives us personal satisfaction, it is more important than our productivity. Productivity is important as well, but the bottom line is, what gives you satisfaction? What gives you satisfaction? Some people want to start with the reward question. What gives me the greatest reward? But most of the times, they won't go any further. They won't go any further. So we must master the first two. What's required of me? What gives me the greatest return? And then it comes to what gives me the greatest reward. We can achieve our our target in terms of productivity, but when there is no satisfaction, when there is no contention, when you don't feel content, most of these things will be just like you're doing the second thing first, like we discussed yesterday. So we must always master these two first areas first. What is required of me, and then what is the greatest return, and then we come to what is the greatest reward. Most of the times when you do things, I don't know about you guys, but for me, like previously I used to be a project manager. When I deliver projects, deliver projects to the standards and specifications that meets the needs of the people, and the smile on the faces of the people who are going to use this, the outcome or the project when it's completed, the smile on their face alone, it gives me satisfaction. It gives me satisfaction. When you give something to someone, and when that someone turns around and say thank you and smiles, the feeling of satisfaction, the feeling of being content must always be there. That is number one thing in everything we do. So now come back to James William. James William said, the heart of being wise is the heart of knowing what to overlook. The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook. So for today's task, our little assignment, answer at least three critical questions in context of your personal and your professional life. What is required of me? What gives me the greatest return? And what gives me the greatest reward? Answer these three questions in terms of your personal life and your professional life. Just answer these three questions for today, and write them on your diary. Write the date and you sign. So after 90 days, you come back and you make an assessment and see where you are. Yes, this is Papua New Guinea. It is a beautiful country. It is heaven on earth. It is the Garden of Eden. All we need right now is the positive transformation of the mindset of the people, starting from the baby in the village all the way to the country's top post, which is the Prime Minister's office. If we change our mindset positively for the betterment of this country will transform positively and drastically in a short period of time. Thank you to the RDSEC Security Service and the Yalingo Valuers for sponsoring this program. I am Theodote from the Caribbean Facebook page. I am out. Peace.